For more than 600 years, this book has existed. It is written in a language no one can read. It describes plants that do not exist, diagrams no one can explain, and ideas that resist every attempt at interpretation. We know this book is real. We know roughly when it was made. We know it has been carefully preserved for centuries. And yet, no one knows why it was written. This is the Voynich Manuscript. The manuscript is named after Wilfrid Voynich, a rare book dealer who acquired it in 1912. But the book itself is far older. Carbon dating places its creation in the early 15th century, between 1404 and 1438. This matters because it tells us something important. The Voynich manuscript is not a modern invention. The parchment is authentic. The ink matches the period. The wear on the pages suggests the book was handled frequently, not hidden away. Someone used this book. The text is written in an unknown script. It flows from left to right. Words are separated by spaces. The structure is consistent. There are repeating patterns, suggesting rules, possibly grammar. This is not random scribbling. It behaves like a real language. And yet, not a single sentence has been convincingly translated. The manuscript appears to be divided into sections: botanical, astronomical, biological, and a final section of short paragraphs, often called recipes. But no interpretation successfully connects all of them. At this point, most discussions focus on a single question: why can't we read it? But that may be the wrong question, because if we could read it, the mystery would be over. The deeper question is not why the language is unknown, but why someone felt the need to write this at all. Writing a book like this required time, materials, and knowledge. Parchment was expensive, ink was valuable, literacy was rare. This was not done casually. Someone spent years creating this, not to confuse us, but for a reason we no longer understand. So, what was the intention? One theory suggests the manuscript was written in a lost language, a natural language that simply did not survive beyond a small community. Another theory argues it is an elaborate cipher designed to conceal knowledge from outsiders, not to be unreadable forever, but readable only to those who already knew the key. There is also the possibility that the manuscript was created as a functional object, not as a text meant for broad understanding. It may have been a working notebook, a personal reference, a tool rather than a message. In that case, clarity for others would not matter. Some researchers believe the manuscript could be ritualistic or symbolic, that the act of writing itself was important, not the act of reading. In certain historical contexts, writing was not only communication, it was a form of control, preservation, or even protection. And this leads to another possibility. Perhaps the manuscript was never meant to be understood outside its original context. Meaning does not exist in isolation. It depends on a shared world. Words rely on shared assumptions. Symbols rely on shared references. Images rely on shared knowledge. If that shared world disappears, meaning disappears with it, the manuscript may not be broken. It may not be encrypted beyond reach. It may simply be orphaned. The people who understood it may be gone. The knowledge system it belonged to may no longer exist. The cultural context that gave it meaning may have vanished centuries ago. In that case, the problem is not inside the book. The problem is that we are no longer part of the world that created it. Today, the Voynich Manuscript rests at Yale University. It has been fully digitized and made available to the public. Anyone can examine its pages in detail, and still, it refuses to speak. Modern technology has not solved it. Artificial intelligence has analyzed its patterns, comparing them to hundreds of known languages. Some results suggest linguistic structure. Others suggest something entirely unique. No conclusion is definitive, and perhaps that is the final discomfort. The Voynich Manuscript reminds us that not all human creations are meant to survive us intact. Some knowledge is fragile, some meaning is temporary. The true mystery of the Voynich Manuscript is not that we cannot read it. It is that someone, at a specific moment in history, felt compelled to write it. And whatever reason they had, it no longer belongs to our world.